You know what the first step is when you're dealing with toxic people? It's not confrontation. It's not cutting them off instantly. It's awareness. You can't change what you don't see. You can't set boundaries if you don't recognize where your lines are being crossed. And most people go through life feeling drained, manipulated, second-guessing themselves without ever stopping to ask, why do I feel like this after talking to this person? So let's start there. Awareness is everything. It's like turning the lights on in a dark room. Suddenly, the confusion disappears. You start to see the patterns, the behavior, the emotional traps you've been stepping into over and over again. Because here's the thing, toxic people are not always obvious. They're not walking around with a warning label. A lot of them come off as charming, funny, even caring at first. But then it happens. You start noticing how conversations with them leave you feeling small, how you second-guess your own thoughts, how your energy dips every time their name pops up on your phone. They guilt-trip you. They make passive-aggressive comments. They twist facts, deny things they said, or blame you for reacting to their bad behavior. And slowly, they make you question your sanity. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. But until you become aware of it, it keeps repeating. Let me be crystal clear. Awareness doesn't mean judgment. Becoming aware of toxic behavior isn't about labeling someone as bad. It's about understanding what's happening so you can decide how to respond. Toxic people are often operating from their own pain, their own trauma, their own unmet needs. They might not even realize the damage they're causing. But that doesn't make the behavior okay. You can acknowledge that someone is struggling and still decide that their behavior is not something you're willing to absorb. Most of us have been trained to ignore our gut, to be nice, to keep the peace. So when we sense something is off, we push it down, we justify it. We say they're just having a bad day, or they don't mean it, but that's how we get stuck. Because we're more comfortable making excuses for someone else than facing the uncomfortable truth. This relationship, this dynamic is hurting me. Here's the empowering part. Once you become aware, you take your power back. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop waiting for them to change, and you start changing how you show up. That's what awareness does. It puts you in the driver's seat. No more playing the victim. No more giving your peace away on a silver platter. You want to know if someone's toxic? Ask yourself how you feel after being around them. Do you feel empowered or drained, seen or dismissed? Do they respect your boundaries or bulldoze them? These aren't small things. They are data. Your emotions, your energy, your instincts, they're all trying to tell you something. Listen. The smartest people don't waste time trying to diagnose or fix toxic people. They just become so self-aware that they can spot dysfunction a mile away and choose not to engage. That's what this is about. Awareness doesn't just protect you from toxic people, it protects you from becoming one. Because when you're aware of how others treat you, you also become aware of how you show up in relationships. You start paying attention to your reactions. You stop letting triggers run the show. You begin to draw healthier boundaries, not out of anger or revenge, but out of respect for yourself. That's what awareness leads to. Clarity is freedom. So the next time you find yourself feeling confused, small, or constantly apologizing in a relationship, pause. Zoom out. Ask yourself, what's really going on here? That question alone can change your life. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need the courage to ask better questions. The moment you do that, you move from being stuck to taking a stand. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Not everyone has the tools to be in a healthy relationship, and not everyone is ready to look at themselves. That's not your job to manage. Your job is to recognize when someone's behavior consistently drains you, disrespects you, or diminishes you, and make a choice that honors your self-worth. You don't need to shame them, confront them, or save them. You just need to see clearly and act accordingly. So the next time you're faced with a person who constantly brings chaos, ask yourself, is this person truly bad, or are they just toxic for me right now? That one question creates distance. It softens your anger. It helps you make smarter choices. And most importantly, it keeps you in your power. Because now you're not reacting to who they are. You're responding based on who you are becoming. You can't control how other people behave. You can't force someone to be kind. You can't make someone respect your boundaries. You can't change someone's tone, fix their attitude, or rewrite their past. And when you try, you'll drive yourself crazy. That's one of the hardest but most liberating lessons you'll ever learn. You are not responsible for other people's behavior. You are only responsible for your reaction to it. And that's where your true power lives. When you're dealing with toxic people, it's easy to fall into the trap of reacting. They push your buttons. They know how to trigger you. They know just the right words to make you feel small, confused, or guilty. And if you're not paying attention, you'll react without even thinking. You'll snap back. You'll explain yourself for the 100th time. You'll raise your voice, shut down, or spiral into anxiety. That's exactly what toxic people feed on. Your reaction becomes their control. But here's the truth. Your reaction is your choice. You might not have control over what they say or do, but you always have control over what you do next. That pause between stimulus and response, that's where your power is. That's where maturity lives. That's where real self-respect kicks in. Think about it. You can't reason with someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. You can't argue with someone who twists your words. You can't win with someone who moves the goalpost every time you try to resolve things. So why waste your breath? Why give them access to your emotions? That's what reaction does. It gives them access to your mental and emotional space. And when you hand over that access, you're no longer in charge of your own energy. Now, this doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you become intentional. Responding isn't about being soft. It's about being smart. It's about choosing your words, your presence, and your energy with care. You respond when you've thought it through. You respond when you're grounded, not triggered. And sometimes, the smartest response is no response at all. Silence is powerful. Walking away is powerful. Saying, "I'm not doing this right now," is powerful. Not engaging in the drama is not weakness, it's strength. It means you're prioritizing your peace over being right. It means you understand that reacting to chaos only drags you into it. And you've got better things to do with your energy than play emotional ping pong with someone who thrives on conflict. Let me say something that might sting a little. Sometimes we keep reacting to toxic people because we want them to validate us. We want them to suddenly see our worth, apologize, or understand our pain. But you're wasting your life waiting for someone to become someone they're not capable of being. And every time you react, you're tying your emotional well-being to their behavior. That's not power, that's bondage. Real freedom comes when you realize you don't need anyone else to validate your worth. You validate it yourself. If you raise your voice, I will end the conversation. If you continue to bring up this topic, I will leave the room. If you don't respect my time, I will stop making space for you in my schedule. That's not controlling, that's clarity. That's saying, I know what I will and won't tolerate, and I'm not afraid to act on it. And once you start living like that, something amazing happens. Toxic people either shift their behavior or they exit your life. Either way, you win, because now you're no longer negotiating your self-worth. You're living in alignment with it. Boundaries also force you to get honest with yourself. What are you actually okay with? What drains you? What behaviors make you feel disrespected? Most people don't set boundaries because they haven't taken the time to define them. So start paying attention. Your discomfort is a signal. That knot in your stomach, that tension in your chest, that feeling of being used or dismissed. Those are clues. Listen to them. They're not drama. They're data. You have the right to say no without explaining. You have the right to take space when you need it. You have the right to change your mind, to protect your peace, to choose yourself without guilt. Because here's the truth. People who truly love and respect you will also respect your boundaries. And those who don't, they were benefiting from your lack of them. So if you're tired of feeling walked on, disrespected, or emotionally drained, ask yourself this. Where do I need a boundary? What behavior have I been tolerating because I'm afraid to speak up? What would protecting my peace actually look like in this relationship? Boundaries are not about creating distance from people. They're about creating space for yourself, to breathe, to grow, to heal. And when you live with boundaries, you stop reacting to toxicity and start responding from strength. because now you're not trying to control others. You're just making it crystal clear what you are available for. And that is the smartest, most powerful thing you can do. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. Read that again. You don't need to explain, justify, or defend every decision you make, especially to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. One of the smartest ways to deal with toxic people is to stop over-explaining and start conserving your energy. Because here's the truth. Toxic people don't want clarity, they want control. They ask questions not to understand, but to argue. They demand reasons not because they care, but because it gives them another opening to poke holes, gaslight, or guilt trip you. When you constantly feel the need to explain yourself, what you're really doing is asking for permission. You're hoping they'll approve of your decision. You're waiting for them to validate your choice. But here's the hard truth. If you need someone's approval to make a healthy move for yourself, they already have too much power over your life. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't need to write an essay to justify a boundary. No is a complete sentence. This doesn't work for me is enough. Anything beyond that is a gift, not a requirement. Toxic people are masters of making you feel like you owe them something. Time, energy, explanations, emotional labor. They twist things in ways that make you second-guess your instincts. You say, "I don't like how that felt," and suddenly they're flipping the script. "You're too sensitive. That's not what I meant. You always take things the wrong way." And then you do it. You start explaining. You break down your feelings, recount the conversation, try to walk them through why it hurt. But you're not talking to someone who wants to understand. You're talking to someone who wants to win. Every time you over-explain to a toxic person, you hand them more of your power. You give them more data to use against you. You give them more opportunities to undermine your perspective. And here's the kicker. No explanation will ever be enough for someone who is determined not to hear you. So stop wasting your breath. This doesn't mean you become cold or shut down emotionally. It means you become selective. You choose who deserves access to your inner world. You choose who gets your vulnerable truth and who gets the surface-level, polite version of you. That's not fake. That's wise. Not everyone has earned the right to your full story. Not everyone will hold your truth with care. And that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You don't have to justify distancing yourself from someone who constantly makes you feel small. You don't have to explain why you've decided to leave the room, take space, or walk away. If someone genuinely cares about you, they won't need a 1,000-word explanation to respect your boundary. They'll trust your judgment. They'll respect your decision, even if they don't fully understand it. One of the most empowering things you can do is start saying less. Not to be rude, not to be defensive, but to be grounded. Let your actions speak. Let your energy speak. Let your decisions speak. If someone questions you and they're genuinely curious, you'll feel it. You'll feel safe explaining. You'll feel heard. But if someone is just trying to manipulate, argue, or make you feel wrong, don't take the bait. Stay calm. Stay firm. You don't need to prove anything. When you stop over-explaining, you also start trusting yourself more. You stop needing external approval to feel confident in your choices. That's how you build unshakable self-respect. You realize that clarity doesn't always require consensus. You can be clear on your why without needing everyone else to agree. That's freedom. So if you find yourself tangled in another long conversation, trying to make a toxic person see your side, trying to justify your choices, trying to win their validation, pause. Ask yourself, what am I trying to get from them that I could be giving myself? And then give it. Give yourself the permission. Give yourself the understanding. Give yourself the peace of mind to say, this is my choice. It's enough for me. That's all that matters. Because the truth is, you don't need everyone to understand your journey. You just need to keep walking it. Strong, clear, and unapologetically aligned with who you are becoming. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold, emotionless, or distant. It means you stop allowing someone else's behavior to control your inner state. It means you create emotional space between you and the chaos. When dealing with toxic people, detachment is one of the smartest tools you can use. Not to punish them, but to protect your peace and preserve your power. Toxic people thrive on emotional reactions. They feed off drama, conflict, guilt, and attention. And if they can get you to argue, explain, cry, or explode, they've pulled you into their energy. Now you're no longer thinking clearly. You're reacting. You're caught in their storm. Detachment is how you step out of that storm and back into yourself. It's how you stop matching their energy and start managing your own. Let's be honest. When someone constantly disrespects you, manipulates you, or crosses your boundaries, it's easy to get caught in a cycle of trying to fix it. You want them to understand. You want them to change. You want them to treat you better. And you keep getting pulled back in, hoping that this time maybe they'll see your sign. But here's the truth that hurts. If someone keeps showing you who they are and you keep expecting something different, that's not hope. It's self-abandonment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about the person. It means you care about yourself enough to stop participating in dynamics that hurt you. You stop answering every text. You stop justifying every boundary. You stop showing up to arguments that go nowhere. You don't need to slam doors. You don't need to make big, dramatic exits. You just quietly remove your emotional investment. You stop reacting, and you start observing. You start making choices from a place of calm, not chaos. This is where true power comes in. When you detach emotionally, you're no longer controlled by their moods, their comments, their manipulation. They can say the same things, push the same buttons, but the buttons don't work anymore. You don't take the bait. You stop being triggered because you've built distance between their behavior and your inner world. Now, let's be clear, detachment is not avoidance. You're not pretending things don't bother you. You're not suppressing emotions. You're just making a conscious decision not to give toxic people front row access to your feelings. You're choosing to place your emotional energy in spaces where it's respected and valued. That's not weakness. That's emotional discipline. Sometimes detachment looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like fewer interactions. Sometimes it's just a shift in your mindset. I can still love you, but I won't let you hurt me. I can still care, but I won't let you manipulate me. That internal clarity will do more for your peace than any argument ever could. You don't owe anyone emotional access to you, especially when they've proven they'll use it to hurt, control, or drain you. Detachment is how you stop trying to rescue people who aren't ready to grow. It's how you stop losing sleep over people who sleep just fine after treating you poorly. It's how you stop making excuses for patterns that continue to hurt you. You can care from a distance. You can wish someone well and still walk away. You can release the need to fix and instead focus on your own healing, your own growth, your own energy. That's where the real work begins. Because once you detach, something powerful happens. You start seeing things clearly. You stop romanticizing the potential. You stop justifying the disrespect. You stop being emotionally entangled in a cycle that's been draining you for far too long. And then you get your power back. You find peace in your own space. You start connecting with people who nourish you instead of depleting you. You have room to grow, to breathe, to become who you're meant to be, without being pulled back into someone else's dysfunction. So when you find yourself tangled in someone's chaos, remember this. Detachment is not cold. It's clarity, it's strength, it's love turned inward. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for them and for yourself is to let go with grace and move forward with peace. Because your life doesn't need more noise. It needs more calm. And that calm begins with choosing not to engage in battles that cost you your soul. Let's talk about one of the most important skills you'll ever develop when dealing with toxic people: emotional intelligence. This isn't just about being nice or mature. It's about learning how to manage yourself in the presence of people who have no intention of managing themselves. It's about staying grounded when someone is trying to pull you into chaos. It's about understanding that your ability to regulate your emotions is your superpower, Because toxic people lose their grip on you the moment you stop reacting the way they expect you to. Emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, and to recognize the emotions of others without letting them take control of you. When someone toxic is yelling, gaslighting, blaming, or guilt-tripping you, your natural instinct might be to defend, attack, or shut down. But emotional intelligence steps in like a calm voice saying, "Hold on, let's pause. Let's respond with purpose, not react out of pain." Here's the truth. Toxic people don't operate from emotional intelligence. They operate from emotional manipulation. They use your empathy against you. They twist your words. They provoke you so they can play the victim when you finally snap. And without emotional intelligence, you'll find yourself stuck in that cycle. Constantly reacting, constantly drained, constantly confused. But the moment you choose to stay centered instead of triggered, you take back the power of the moment. It starts with self-awareness. Emotional intelligence means being aware of what's happening inside of you before it explodes outside of you. It means recognizing, okay, I feel disrespected right now, or I'm getting angry and I need to breathe before I speak. That pause, just a few seconds of awareness, is everything. It creates space for choice. You no longer say something you'll regret. You no longer escalate the fight. You stay aligned with the person you want to be instead of matching their dysfunction. Then comes self-regulation. This is the part that takes practice. It's learning how to calm yourself down. It's learning how to say, "I'll continue this conversation when we're both in a better place," and walking away without guilt. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about directing them. You're not pushing your emotions down. You're leading them. You're saying, "Yes, I'm angry, but I won't let that anger control me." That's power. Emotional intelligence also helps you spot patterns. It helps you see that when someone keeps baiting you into fights, it's not about resolution, it's about control. It helps you recognize when someone is using tears, silence, or guilt to manipulate your response. And instead of getting hooked, you stay curious, you observe, you ask yourself, what's really going on here? That mindset gives you the ability to respond strategically, not emotionally. And here's something else. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean you tolerate toxic behavior. It means you handle it with clarity and strength. It means you set boundaries without exploding. It means you hold your ground without becoming aggressive. It means you don't need to win the argument. You're just not willing to participate in games that drain your energy anymore. You also learn to pick your battles. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every insult needs a response. Not every misunderstanding needs to be cleared up. Emotional intelligence helps you zoom out and ask, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, you walk away with your dignity intact. Because your peace is not up for negotiation, not with anyone. Another critical part of emotional intelligence is empathy for yourself. It's being kind to yourself when you make a mistake. It's forgiving yourself for the times you did react. It's knowing that you're learning, growing, and healing. And that process takes time. Toxic people will often shame you for having emotions, for setting boundaries, or for walking away. But when you lead with emotional intelligence, you stop letting their shame define you. You are not responsible for how someone else feels when you protect your peace. You are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to look at their own behavior. Your job is to manage your emotional world with integrity. That's how you win. That's how you break the cycle. That's how you rise. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, control you, or drag you into their drama, choose differently. Choose calm. Choose clarity. Choose clarity. Choose emotional intelligence over emotional chaos, because that's not weakness, that's wisdom. And when you lead with that kind of strength, toxic people lose their grip. They can't pull you down when you're rooted in your truth.